us. So as you all know, Thaddeus Stewart is an architect here in Connecticut, and we thought it would be great for him to just tell you all about his path towards architecture. So take it away, Thaddeus.
Thank you, Cassie. Good morning, all. Again, my name is Thaddeus Stewart, and I'm the managing principal of Integrated Design and Construction. I've been practicing architecture for 30 years, as you can see. I truly enjoy that. At one point, I was where you are right now. In fact, we did not have these architectural labs and computers that you have. What we were doing was a T-square and drafting board. So it has evolved to a really interesting place we're in right now with architecture and an entire educational facility. My background, as Cassie had mentioned, I'm an architect. I've been practicing approximately 30 years. I started in construction. My family has a masonry contracting business. We were masons, so I was mixing mortar and carrying bricks at an early age. I enjoyed working with my father. I enjoyed seeing different aspects of construction and projects. We worked on some university work as well as single family residential. So when driving around with or riding around with my father, he would always show me a white shirt, white hard hat person pointing, and then you'll see a group of people going that way. And I was like, oh, Dad, who's that? And he said, that's the architect. And that's who I said, I'm going to be that at some point in my life. So, you know, the future is so wide and broad. You have a lot going for you. So architecture, just to give you an overview, my 30 plus years of experience includes construction management, construction, trade work. I'm also a mason contractor and a mason by training, as well as interior design. So I've been around architecture, construction throughout. So I bleed construction, bleed architecture. As a principal of integrated design and construction, we have 4 employees currently, including myself, and I've scaled down from 20 plus to where we are now. So we were doing K through 12, we were doing university work, we were doing private as well as corporate work. Throughout New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area, as well as Washington, D.C., and as far out as Canada. We went to Toronto to work as well. Next slide. What do architects do? So overall, architects they're the organizer, the creator of all of it. They bring the entire team together. That's the architects, the construction firms, as well as the engineering. So all the consultants and the owner are triangular related to the architect. Architect, owner, contractor. And some of you may be interested in a program called ACE Mentoring. That's architecture, construction, engineering. And basically that's where the architect oversees the project from the design, from the construction. They actually work with the different trades as well. These are some of the projects I'd worked on from a construction standpoint, as well as from an architectural standpoint. So I was fortunate enough to work with one of the largest construction management companies in the country. And we worked on some very exciting projects. And some of the architectural firms were internationally known, and they're all over the world doing some pretty exciting things. Interior design, I've worked again with some of the larger interior design architectural firms that are based in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, some of the major areas of study. And we've done some pretty exciting things there. Let me backtrack a little, because my background from a public high school in Connecticut, Shelton High, to college, I actually worked with an architect as a sophomore, junior over the summers and over the holidays, just learning. We were doing, instead of having large plotters printing it out, we had rolls of paper that you would put in a ammonium vat in the attic at 100 degrees, and you'll just be passing out. Those were how we actually got our prints made and developed. And from there, I actually attended another program. I went for a program that was sponsored by GE, and that was for GE scholarship, General Electric scholarship, to develop into a more defined architectural path. So at your age, I knew exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that architect. And so going through the path of architecture, you typically have a high school education, then you'll do some internships, or well, they're called emerging professionals now. In my day, they were called internships. And you'll study architecture for a 5-year program at a accredited school, or you could do a 4-year program in 2 years with a master's. And then you'll have to work with an architect for a number of years, 3 years, I believe. And my turn, it was 3 years. And then you'll have a 36-hour exam, so over 4 days. So in order to be called an architect, you have to have a path similar to that, which is pretty exciting if you think about it. A 4-day exam from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then that last day is the design of a building. And that building is a 12-hour exam. So pretty exciting. Once you pass that, and I think it's 9 divisions, once you pass the 9 divisions of becoming licensed, then you actually get your shingle, your seal. So overall, architecture is the catalyst of the construction industry. You have owners, you have constructors, contractors, and then you have the architect. And 98% of the work is produced or at least orchestrated by the architect. Next. So residential, I started as a residential architect. We were doing small residential homes in Fairfield and Southport. And then each level of my progression in architecture created a larger scale of project. I went from birdhouses to million square foot casinos. So overall, it was a nice progressive approach to architecture. You're able to see residential, you're able to see commercial, institutional, and finally entertainment. And that's what I'm working on now, some entertainment projects. Again, just some samples of work that I've worked on. And you could go to the next one. So starting my own practice, after a stint of doing corporate, I worked at a large corporation in New York. I also worked with smaller operations here in Connecticut and New England. And following that, I decided, well, it's time. After working with this large construction management company and realizing I'm making them a lot of money and I'm getting paid some money, but not what I was making them. So I decided at some point to try to put it out and to put my shingle out and see how that'll work. And it's been very lucrative. As far as different aspects of architecture, there are interior designs, there are construction managers, there are different paths that you can choose. And so far as being in the design profession and the construction industry. Current work, what we're currently working on now, we have an indoor recreational facility coming up in the valley. So we're still in design, development, construction document phase there. We've done corporate office fit outs and we're actually completing one in Bridgeport now, and multifamily homes. We're looking more into the commercial side of architecture and construction. So what we're trying to do is to parlay our construction background as well as our sustainable design interests, and our corporate and commercial architecture into multifamilies. When I say multifamilies, the smallest project we're working on now is 48 units. So these are different aspects of what we try to do as architects and try to learn the large picture, the big picture of the construction industry, the real estate development, as well as the design profession. And as I mentioned, masonry is one of my loves. So I've always been around masonry. If you have any chance or opportunity to work in the trades or do some type of actual field work, construction work, take advantage of it. Wear some work boots, a hard hat, high visibility vest because I guarantee you your drawings will be much better and more developed. Mr.
Yeah,
B.
I was gonna say, do you find that it's helpful to know what the other trades do and how they work, and does that help you to become a better?
Absolutely. Your drawings, you'll notice your development because you're able to put a building together, not only on paper, but you've also seen it in the field. I'm like sweating. Is it the tie? Is it the staring eyes? I'm like burning up here. Well, I can loosen up a little because this crowd looks pretty tough there. So I'll loosen up just a little. So overall,
I have another question too.
Sure.
You mentioned construction management a bunch. Can you explain a little bit what the construction management aspect is?
oh, certainly. I came very impressed. I said, they're going to be impressed with purple on gray, but that didn't happen. So I'm like sweating
It's all
here.
right. You look good. I
No,
like it. I like
yeah,
it.
you like it.
I
Okay,
like
that's
it. I
a
like
man
it.
of my heart right there. I didn't bring a napkin. I said, okay, so it's not going to be here, but construction management is working with the trades working in the field. You'll see the company next door when they were building this building. That is there was an overseer of all of this, and that was the construction manager, or the construction management office. So construction management, typically you have a few different ways of looking at construction management, and I chose the construction management at risk. So basically you actually have the contracts of all the subcontractors. So everyone comes to you, the owner pays you, you pay the subcontractors. And then there's another aspect of construction management, which is construction management, construction manager as agent. And that's when the owner actually holds the contracts, and what you do is you basically are a representative of the owner. So you represent the owner's interest. Thank you. I don't think it's the one. I think it's anyway. Sure.
But what trades do you think was the most important that you learned and helped you out the most?
Well, oh yeah, very good question. Ideally, you want a trade that does vertical work. If you're looking at flat work like concrete, you'll learn concrete. But if you're looking at a vertical trade such as carpentry, masonry, even electrical plumbing, you'll learn how things come together, because those trades actually coordinate with so many other trades. Flat work, they coordinate also, but they typically are in a much smaller box, whereas a vertical trade, carpentry, masonry, plumbing, electrical, they're going up. And so many different trades are touching them while they go up. So that's a great question. But for me personally, it was masonry. I enjoyed seeing it from ground up. I enjoyed topping off a building. At the end of the project, you're putting up the parapet walls in masonry, and that's the top of the building. So you're starting from the foundation, going all the way through. And I see some of your samples here, and you're definitely going in the right direction, because I see insulated concrete forms. That's carpentry, that's masonry, that's electrical. You're combining so many different trades and bringing the building together. So the whole aspect of all of this is coordination. You're the juggler. You're juggling everyone, and everyone is pointing towards you as far as needing guidance, and you're running the team. So that in itself is pretty exciting.
You boss people around, right?
And you're a boss. So we have
boss around.
Exactly. You're the boss. People always come back to the architect and contractors. They always, well, not always, but 90% of the time, there's always a conflict. People say, oh, you can't do that. Frank Lloyd Wright, for instance, he was one of the greatest architects. And the first thing that contractors would do when they saw his drawing, said, oh, it can't be done. It can't be done. Well, actually, it was done. Falling water over a stream in your living room was done. Cantilevered concrete. So that's extended without any bracing underneath it. So architecture is very exciting, but I don't want you to become architects. I want you to become more than architects, become real estate developers, become construction managers, own companies, own and hire employees all the time. Architecture is very, very vast, and there are so many different aspects of architecture that can truly enhance your lives. At this point, especially with sales of material, I just met a young lady, and she's now one of the state building inspectors. So even construction inspection can be a form of architecture. It's all relative to you running things, and people are coming to you for direction and for guidance. Question.
Yeah, so I was wondering, so that like property developer, right? You usually go to architecture school to become one of those, or like
For what?
a property developer?
Oh yeah, real estate developer. Is that our time? Our 45 minutes are up? Oh, okay. Well, real estate development is fantastic. My brother actually does that in Fairfield County. So he's doing residential and commercial real estate development. Real estate development is great. You want to learn how everything comes together, and architecture is definitely that path of learning how everything comes together. Architects are coordinating the entire project, and they're working with the owners, the real estate developers, they're working with the contractors, as well as the other trades. Their words and their designs are being constructed by and purchased by owners and constructed by contractors. So real estate development is another offshoot of architecture. You can become a developer once you learn how to put a building together, or just go into real estate development, and then you'll be working with architects.
But you need to go to like, you need a license to do that, or like, after, maybe not now, school, like after.
Oh, well, yes, you can become a real estate developer. Schooling is, the bottom line is schooling. You have to educate yourself via institutional schooling or working in the field. You want to know how buildings come together. You want to see everything come together. And we do it on paper as well as we do it in person. So getting that real estate development aspect that's exciting too. It's a triangle. If you think about it, the owner, architect, contractor, and the architect typically is at the pinnacle or the point of that triangle. And the owner and contractor, they bring it all together. Good question.
Yeah, Thaddeus, I think you touch on a really great point with the sort of versatility of an architectural degree is sometimes you go into school for architecture, but actually sometimes you end up branching out. You don't necessarily have to, you might still have your architectural license, but you actually can branch out to other fields like construction management and real estate development as well. So I think it's actually a really great point that you touch on there. But to be a real estate developer, you don't necessarily need an architectural license.
Absolutely. It will benefit you to see see how architects have done it in the growth of architecture. But as far as becoming a developer, a real estate developer, the schooling isn't necessarily there in architectural program. I did mention the program typically is a 5-year program. So you're committed to 5 years. High school is not college. High school is high school. College is college for sure. Because here you're almost mandatory to be in class and do whatever your instructor tells you. There, it's a lot of self-growth. You're actually growing independently, and you're seeing where your strengths lie, and some aspects. If you don't want to go to school, guess what? You won't be there too long, I guarantee you. But the whole aspect of learning architecture, working 20-hour days, for a project, and being part of a team, in this case, just an open floor plan and working side by side, the energies and the juices of creativity are just flowing, just constantly flowing. So that's pretty exciting. So college isn't high school. Just keep that in mind. College is college for sure. Architecture is a 5-year program. Typically, you could do it in 6 years, 4 and 2, but you really want some experience as well. And work with. The best part of being an architect is having others, younger people, youth, come to me and ask me, what is an architect? I am an architect. Yes, sir.
If since we're doing this in high school, we need to go to college for as long so you could know, like, you can like explore.
Oh yeah, regardless, it's 5 years, minimum 5 years. So 4 and 2, 5 and 1, 5 and 2. you're in a 5-year program. The school I attended, Washington DC, is a 5-year program. And you want to go to an accredited school also. You want to make sure that when you come out after that 5 years, you can take your degree elsewhere and perhaps sit for a state exam. In order to become an architect, you have to pass an exam, and typically those are state sponsored. Your hand was up? Yes.
Oh, okay, so it's like kind of off topic, but in your whole career, do you ever feel like quitting architecture?
Oh, no, absolutely not. That's part of your makeup. That's your DNA. If you committed to architecture at a certain point, in my class, we had 200 plus coming in freshman year. We graduated less than 10% of that. So if you're committed, and you'll know right away if you're committed to it. I'm looking at models, I'm looking at the samples, I'm looking around your studio, and I'm saying, wow, this is a commitment. You make that commitment early on, guarantee you it's going to pay off in the long run. Architects are not making the type of money like financial people make right out of a business school, but the love of architecture is there that you'll see 20 hours go by, you won't even notice. It's like that love is so in depth and so powerful. Great question.
And I'm just gonna, actually, I like the question regarding the different path to architecture and getting degrees. There are many pathways. The shortest, as Thaddeus mentioned, is the 5-year accredited bachelor in architecture. So you do want to check with the colleges and things that you apply for to make sure it's accredited and that it is a 5-year program. There are others. You can do the 4-year Bachelor of Science, and then you have to do a 2-year master on top of that. So that's 6 years. And then you come out and you take, I think now it's 6 exams, each vary in 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And now they're over a few days. So you can take them whenever you want. And that, I think there's a 5-year period of time. So once you complete the 6 exams, you're good to go and you're a licensed architect. You can take the path of work experience. It's longer. I believe in some states it's about 10 years of work experience that you have to log, and then you're allowed to take your tests. So that is another option if you couldn't do the college path.
Oh, thank you, Cassie. That's very important. That the system changes, not regularly, but it does change. So just be prepared. Typically, your schooling is minimum of 5 years, and then your emerging professional development is another 3 years, and then the exam, as we mentioned, is over a few days, so it changes depending. Mine was 4 days, and that last day was 12 hours. You had to design a building that actually worked. So nothing quite as elaborate as your home here, but it was a design project, so you had to think of different aspects of it. But architecture is fun. You can dress very exciting. Designers and the art science combination is pretty exciting. First of all, you're able to express yourself a lot clearer, and the people understand more about who you are and what your interests are, not only by the way you dress, but by the way you carry yourselves. Architects are oftentimes people say, oh, I wanted to be an architect, or I wanted to become an architect. Oh, my friend's father is an architect. Okay, that's fine. Architects are very unique people. We're Renaissance people. We're taking so many different trades, so many different aspects of life and bringing it all together, funneling it to another group for inclusion and opinion. So we're very opinionated, very open, but yet kind of flighty in some cases. You know, we see things differently. We may not. Is that my? Okay, the school bell. Okay. Well, we explore different things. So we engage with others. Oftentimes, we are juggling so many different trades. So we're bringing many different aspects of the construction process together. And from the way our attire, the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves. Oftentimes, many of us have always wondered who is that white shirt, hard hat person pointing, and groups of people are going that way. So architecture is very exciting. You're not going to get rich that first year out of architectural school, so unless you're already there. But you will have the wealth of knowing what you've done. Others are exploring your world, and you're putting a stamp on our society, especially with sustainability, especially with the creativity of youth now. It's a great profession to be in. And notice I said profession because you do have to pass an exam and you have to get a license. You can't practice architecture without a license. There are people who are out there that are designers and they're doing it without a license, but in order to call yourself an architect, you need a license, and that makes you a professional. So after 25 years of 20-hour days, then you come to the table and people are like, oh, okay, now you can drive around the city and see the projects you worked on, see your stamp on so many different areas of life. So it's very exciting. Architecture, construction, and real estate development. Those three, that's our built environment. That's our society. And it's very, very exciting at this point. And technology is just increasing, making it much easier to decipher what aspect of life or creativity, your creative life, and people are enjoying. So it's
So,
all.
actually, you speak of technology. What are you using in your office right now?
Oh, yes. Well, we're using Revit. Our entire platform now is Revit. We use SketchUp, Revit, and 3D modeling. So it's all like certain people do not have the vision that you have as progressive and promising architects. And so what we do is we need to show our clients in three-dimensionally and graphically how best to interpret their ideas, how to give them what they're looking for, and so far as what they're paying us for. So Revit, AutoCAD, I'm using AutoCAD sparingly, but between BIM, building information and modeling, 3D representations, and photorealistic software, which basically it's all around you right here. So it's pretty exciting. Plus 3D printing. It's something that we haven't captured yet, but I've seen it in various firms and various locations. Grasp that, engage with 3D printers, engage with 3D modeling. And so people can see your ideas graphically and depictions of what your thoughts are. I come with a decorative box, and then you take that decorative box and carve it up and make it something more unique to you and to me as an owner.
Ms. Derrick, please report to the main office. Ms. Derrick, to the main office.
Great question. Thank you, Cassie. That was a great insight. So architecture overall is very exciting. This phase of your architectural profession development progress is just scratching the surface. There's so much more out there. But if you embrace technology, you embrace creativity, and I'm just looking around your studios, and I'm quite impressed. It's exactly what you want to see at this level. You want to see ideas and fluidity of different thoughts and teamwork and just enjoying life. There's much out there for you in architecture and construction industry. So embrace it, and I guarantee you, you'll be very happy. You'll be presenting in another 15, 20 years.
Well, thank you, Thaddeus. Does anyone else have any questions?
Oh, yes. Hi.
I want to own my own company for in architecture. So going to college, that route, and getting out there, is there anything else I should do?
Oh, absolutely. There's the first and foremost, talk to owners, talk to a business owner that has either a firm or developing a firm, talk to employees of that firm, and then just get a understanding. The business and the practice of being productive in architecture and being profitable in architecture always requires a second eye, if you can follow that. It's like, see what others who are successful contact large firms. I was contacting very large international firms because I knew what I wanted. I didn't want to do birdhouses and single families all my life. I wanted to do more. And so my thesis, 1,000,000 square feet in Washington, 1,000,000 square foot development in Washington, DC. And so that's the path I went. But I think for advice, talk to people in the business. So many people love talking about themselves, especially architects. They love embellishing what they've done. And the whole aspect of owning one's own business is to talk to people, know your competitors, know who's out there. But after school, and even during school, I was doing contracting work in little small residential, and I said, oh, I still love it. So it's not a turnoff once I started getting dirty yet. So talk to people in the business. That's one of the best advice I would have. Just call architectural firms up. Cassie works for a sizable, internationally known firm, and talk to individuals in the business. See how you may be able to just drum up some interest from them to you, as far as maybe even a potential opportunity to work with. Just find out how they did it and some of the paths they've gone through and some of the challenges. It's not all peaches, some peaches and cream. Sometimes there's a couple of hiccups there as well.
Yeah,
Find it
I
right
think
place.
that's greatly put, Thaddeus. Is experience really is everything, especially when it comes to owning your own firm. You really want to get into a firm, get that experience, learn it, and then actually while you're studying your architectural licensing exams, part of the exams is learning practice management. So that is included within licensure. It teaches you contracts. It teaches you so much more, not just design. So part of your architectural path and getting your architectural license is actually learning some of those tools that can get you to that level of owning your own firm.
Absolutely. People love talking about themselves. So you'll be very, very pleased and very encouraged when you have conversations with architects in practicing firms. Comments, questions? Purple and gray?
Oh, I did.
Okay. I have a fan there. So people were like, I talked to my wife and I said, what do you think of this? She said, white and blue. And I'm like, well, that's okay. But purple and gray, plaid on plaid, small plaid. So they're not large plaids. They're not florals. But so that's
Making
it.
a statement. I like it. It's the architecture way.
Yeah, so you're creative. Just let those juices keep flowing and develop them into a profession that you can truly say it again.
No, I was trying to see the whole fit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shoot.
I didn't wear the black ones today. I said, no, let's step up with the brown. But keep the creative juices flowing. Work in teams and see what other people feed off of each other. You know, this is a time in your life you can make mistakes. There are so many aspects of architecture that you will have trials and tribulations and make mistakes and get up and work through it. Figure it out. Do not have someone just hand it to you and say, okay, I'm there. But make a mistake, you know, and get a pen. You know, understand, plant a tree. That's most importantly, plant a tree. Figure this out, and then if you haven't figured it out, fall down, get up, fall down again. Someone else will pick you back up. Keep trying until you realize how to make this work for you. And whatever aspect it is, whether it's architecture, whether it's real estate development, whether it's construction, stay within that realm of what you're comfortable with, and then push that boundary. Try to figure this out. Try to see what makes you even more comfortable. If it's a design, if it's doing toilet fixtures or doing interior elevations, try to capture what your strengths and figure out your weaknesses. And then do not dwell on your weaknesses, dwell on your strengths. Pick yourself up and go motivate. find out from each other what you're working on. How can I help you? Understand technology, embrace it, because it's not going away. I've worked in a few different organizations and they're like, well, can you draft me? No, I can't draft you anything at this point. I can generate something for you, whether it's a 3D model or whether it's a 3D version. But as far as the technology, it's not going away. It's only increasing. So embrace it, and I guarantee you'll have a good journey.
Well, thank you, Thaddeus, so much. This was really great. Hopefully we'll see you guys again for our next IM series. If there's something that you're interested in hearing about and knowing more about, so interior designers, real estate developers, let Sarah know and we'll try and get someone to talk to you about those things in the next round. All right.
Okay, well, thank